So this year I wanted to review a Christmas movie, and this year I want to kind of watch one that I haven't really seen a whole lot. I've seen this once before. I kind of enjoyed it, and I'm not a big fan of the style of animation, but I thought, okay, well, if I really enjoyed it once, I'll probably still enjoy it now. And no, I didn't. I fucking hated it. That is Robert Zemeckis' is A Christmas Carol. Did Robert Zemeckis direct this? Because I know it's his production. Yeah, it's directed. Written for the screen and directed by Robert Zemeckis. So I don't like Polar Express. I don't like Beta Wolf. I don't like Mars Needs Moms. I think that last one. it's not an unpopular opinion. I really don't like any of these motion capture movies. And I will say, I did not see this film in theaters. The first couple times I had seen this movie, was at school. I had a teacher who really loved The Christmas Carol. She gave us the book and showed us this movie. And the way she described it made it sound so passionate. It actually got me interested in reading the book. And she gave us a copy of the book that I wish I still had, because I've never actually read the book. And I definitely will do that at some point. Not sure when. I'm always reading different stuff. But, yeah. It's a classic novel, right? My favorite adaptations of A Christmas Carol, if you must know, are, Muppets Christmas Carol and a couple other ones like Scrooged and stuff. But this one's awful. And I think there's a couple reasons why this one is awful to me. I think the animation, number one, makes everybody feel like robots in this movie, which is kind of hard when this is a story that you're emotionally supposed to connect to as a human. The idea of Robert Zemeckis' animation style is utterly disgusting on the principles of animation. I don't really understand how Robert Zemeckis went down this turn in his career, because you have to understand, Robert Zemeckis directed Who Framed Roger Rabbit, one of the most dazzling pieces of animation of all time. I mean, it wasn't him who did the animation for that movie, but he did direct that movie and help that movie come to life. And so to see him go down this weird point in motion capture where it doesn't even make sense. Basically, the point of what Robert Zemeckis was trying to do is he's trying to make animation look real, which you actually can do. There are many animation styles that are a more realistic style, but still manage to keep it animated feeling. But his idea was like, we're going to film real humans. I think if this movie was live action, it would be substantially better. Because this animation style is ugly, and it's hard to look at. And none of the humans feel real. They feel very unnatural. It doesn't look good. It looks better than Polar Express and a couple of his earlier ones, but that's just because this movie came later. What year did this one come out? What is this? Does it say? Does it say? I can't find a release date. Did not see this in theaters, so I wouldn't know. I think 2011, if I remember right, but could be wrong. But whatever, And then also this movie is very, came out after Avatar, so they were very much obsessed with kind of showing off the 3D and stuff. But, none of it works. All the 3D effects are just way too overplayed and flashy and just don't look good. I don't want to see this ugly-ass 3D look. It doesn't look good. So, I don't know. I feel like if it was shown this in 3D, it'd probably be kind of cool with some of the effects and stuff. But at the same time, watching it now, which is how majority of people are going to watch it, it looks awful. And I think, but that's not even the biggest problem with this movie. The biggest problem with this movie is Jim Carrey. Why the fuck would you cast Jim Carrey in this movie? His lines are he doesn't look like Jim Carrey, but even then a part of you knows it's Jim Carrey because, one, he played Count Olaf in the series of Unfortunate Events movies, and these characters look surprisingly similar, and you can just tell it's Jim Carrey somehow. It's through the voice. And so it just makes everything that should be a very dark and disturbing line immediately come across as comical when he's saying shit like, well, if they'd rather die, they better do it and decrease the surplus population. See, that's a great, scary, intense line, and when it's delivered in a good version of A Christmas Carol, you hurt when you hear that fucking line. But in this, he says it, and I almost want to start laughing. it is just, he is so miscast in this movie. I think Robert Zemeckis didn't really care what project he put him in, because Jim Carrey is a very expressive actor. And I guess since since this is a Christmas movie, he probably was like, well, he did The Grinch really well. He's really expressive. Why not put him in this? And it didn't work out because he's incredibly miscast. He has a very comedic talent. He can do dramatic really well, but not in this kind of performance. It is just so off and strange and not very well put together. It makes for a very disastrous movie. Apparently this movie flopped at the box office, which makes sense. This movie had way too high of a budget when it came out, and it did not work out for them, which I'm happy, because this and Mars Needs a Mom's coming out, I think a year later or a year or two later, led to the death of this company, which was very much deserved, because the idea of this animation style is just so disgusting. Why the fuck would you make animation look real? That's not the point of animation. And again, you can do it and make it make sense, but when your literal point is like, we're gonna film real people and make them look real, why not just film real people then? Like, what the fuck? It just doesn't make any sense. And it's strange to think that there were people like Tom Hanks who thought this was the new style of animation, but it really wasn't. So this movie's a disaster. I don't care for it. I don't know what I was smoking. I think what I enjoyed about it, if I'm remembering what I enjoyed about it last time I saw this movie, I think it's just the fact that A Christmas Carol has its scarier moments, and there's a lot of scary moments in this movie, but I almost think they're too excessive to the point where this movie might actually give someone nightmares. And I don't feel like Christmas Carol scary scenes are supposed to give you fucking nightmares. They're supposed to kind of make you feel spooked and make you spooked just enough that you're thinking. Like, to me, one of the most horrifying scenes in A Christmas Carol is when Scrooge is visited by Marley, the Marley brother. That scene is terrifying because that is what is real and could happen to us or Scrooge in this case. In the case of this story, if we do not choose to be loving and joyful within our life, and so that's kind of the message of the story. But that's horrifying to me. But if you do it correctly, it's not supposed to be necessarily horrifying. It's supposed to be haunting is the right word for I'm looking for. But in this, like, they have a bunch of ghosts and one runs at him like he's going to eat his face or some shit. And you're like, why is all this needed? It's just because a lot of this movie is here to show off effects and not really show you a great version of the story. And so you just watch this movie and it's just not great. Also, I love this review on the back. Spectacular. The greatest Christmas story of all time. I mean, I would argue A Christmas Carol is the best Christmas story of all time, but, like, not in the way this movie presents it. So, yeah. I don't really know why I decided to review this one for you, but I thought it'd be fun, and it ended up not being fun for me because I did not fucking like this movie.